Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Can't believe I'm in Cape Town and have the opportunity to share the stage with some of the most incredible doctors and professors in this space. For everyone that spoke ahead of me, wow, just humbled for the opportunity. Vanguard Scientific, as Ronnie said, we're a biotechnical organization. We have two divisions. We're predominantly known as a systems and service integrator. We're working in 6 countries, solving the problem from extraction all the way through to final product formulation or definition. We also have an innovations division. Innovations focus on research and development of new technologies, quality management systems, and also the research and collaboration for white paper development, as Ronnie mentioned. Today I'm talking to you about something really special, terpenes. What are they? We call it Mother Nature's secret sauce. And as some of the speakers ahead of me discussed, Dr. Abrams specifically, this research is really just beginning, and what it's doing to complement our understanding of the cannabinoid receptors or the conversation around cannabinoids in general is pretty powerful. And I think that over the next 24 months, what we'll find in research and evidence in both commercialization is going to be pretty powerful. It's important to mention first that I'm not a doctor, so I'm an entrepreneur, right? I come from regulated products, so my perspectives of this, while I will carry some scientific approach, is mostly going to be focused on commercialization and the effects and benefits in the marketplace as we look to create products both for the medicinal conversation, therapeutics, as well as commercial adult use. So with that said, let's travel forward here. We'll walk through an overview of what terpenes are. We'll speak about the endocannabinoid systems. I'll look to move pretty quickly because I know we're running behind schedule, so we'll move to lunch. I'll have a chance to speak with you all a couple of times during the CannaTech conferences. I'll be fortunate to leave a conversation around GMP compliance and extraction, and then I'm also going to have a chance to lead a roundtable forum with 2 of the brightest minds in the extraction space and colleagues, including A.C. Braddock and Joel Sherlock from Eaton Labs and Vitalis. We're talking around terpenes. We'll do a bit of a deeper dive and start talking around some of the quirky things that are going to be looked to be discovered, uncovered, or further commercialized in the next, again, 12 to 24 months. We'll discuss market values and then some of the things that we're doing at Vanguard for research. So first off, the first slide there we skipped past said these are found in Mother Nature all over the place. Essential oils, right? Essential oils are an incredibly special thing. In one drop of an essential oil, there's roughly 40 million trillion molecules. 40 million trillion molecules. That's a 4 with 19 zeros behind it. Okay, so to kind of put that in perspective, our human body has 100 trillion cells, which is a lot. But there's 40,000 molecules in essential oil for every cell that we have in our body, and we start to think around endocannabinoid systems and the receptors, so the ability for one molecule of an essential oil to activate a receptor and what that could mean for changing our systems is really powerful. So the first is where it begins as an isoprene unit, right? So an isoprene unit, when combined together, creates a terpene. Understanding terpenes, we'll talk about a number of them here today, but phenylpropanoids, or hemiterpenes, are really special, and they're not discussed. And really what these do, aside from having healing properties, is they're cleansing agents, and then keep our endocannabinoid receptors clean. What's the importance of a clean receptor? Well, it doesn't take too much to kind of use your imagination. Clear communication, the ability for information to transfer with ease. And this begins to talk about the endocannabinoid system as a homeostatic receptor. Say that 3 times fast. Homeostatic receptor system for our bodies. And these terpenes begin to start benefiting and manipulating what's happening with the cannabinoids that are inside of our body being naturally produced and those that are being introduced from plants. Now, it's important to understand that terpenes not only come from cannabis, which is the predominant part of our conversation today, but they exist in flora and fauna globally, right? So we'll run through a list here on another page, and we'll talk around specific types of terpenes and their efficacious benefits or some of their potential commercial uses, and it becomes pretty compelling. Monoterpenes. Again, I'm not going to go too deep into the science. Throughout the week, we'll be here. Vanguard has a booth, and we can talk further. Or some of the bright minds that were on the stage earlier, I'd be really excited to talk with you more about these. But there's roughly 2,000 varieties of monoterpenes. frankincense, cypress, just examples. But the really interesting thing about this, and monoterpenes are the most volatile, right? So the most easy to degrade. And so we can slow down and understand terpenes are inside of the actual trichomes. When they become denatured due to oxidation, they turn into terpenoids. So that's used kind of interchangeably, but just to kind of understand those pieces. Monoterpenes are really unique in that the fact that they're so small, they actually have the ability to travel inside of cells and reprogram miswritten cellular information. So this is really unique, and you can see this in anecdotal as well as clinical trials and begin to see things changing inside of cells as monoterpenes. Now, sesquiterpenes are a little bit larger in themselves. I think it's 20 to 26 hydrocarbons that make up sesquiterpenes with a grouping of around 5 isoprene units. There's 10,000 varieties of sesquiterpenes is listed here. Sesquiterpenes, again, aside from a number of healing medicinal benefits, are really special in a conversation regarding cancer. Dr. Rousseau wrote, this provides a 1-2 punch in fighting cancer. One, sesquiterpenes carry oxygen into cells like hemoglobin does into blood, creating an environment where cancer cells can't reproduce. And also, sesquiterpenes have the ability to come into cells and erase misinformation inside of them, or if cells aren't functioning naturally, as you see during cancer. This is actually something that's being studied, and there's really, really large reaching ramifications in what it could mean, sesquiterpenes. So kind of understanding the endocannabinoid system, you can look at the other systems that are coming online here, and we understand that the conversation is just beginning around an ECS system, right? This wasn't in our biology books. This wasn't something that was openly studied, at least not publicly published. And you begin to understand that the conversation around your CB1 receptors and then your CB2 receptors, your central nervous system or your peripheral nervous system, respectively, are being addressed to THC, CBD. And the interesting things are, for instance, in CBD, we're finding when it isolated, there's actually no specific affinity to CB1 or CB2 receptors. And you're beginning to see the conversation of the entourage effect, or THC breaking the blood-brain barrier. Folks can speak to that much more eloquently than I can, and you begin to start talking around terpenes. And terpenes are not only affecting your CB1 and CB2 receptors, but throughout the entire endocannabinoid system. Again, that homeostatic receptor, modulating based on what the body needs, what the plant needs. Again, terpenes exist inside of plants, humans, and animals, right? This is something that's been around for a long time and has really far-reaching ramifications that are just beginning to be studied. So, looking a little bit further here, you can see the endocannabinoid system and some of the things that it's doing. So just motivations and reward systems, right? This is things around your appetite, metabolism, sensations. You close your eyes, you're running through the forest, you breathe in a deep breath and you smell pine trees. You get more energy, right? That's alpha-pinene. It's opening up your bronchial pathways. These things are actually happening. Some of the other interesting things here, natural and dietary factors required for a healthy endocannabinoid system. That's right? So it depends on what you put in your body. It depends on how balanced your ECS system is. Our phenylpropanoids are cleaning off our endocannabinoid system so the messages can be exchanged, but we're starting to understand that that term preventative medicine is taking care of yourself, and health and wellness is carrying even into this conversation. Just a few here, and then just some of the most pronounced effects that are really interesting, and I'll run through them because I'll talk about them on the commercialization page. Limonene stimulates the immune system, right? Antidepressant, anti-anxiety. Alpha-pinene, antibacterial, potentially aids in memory. Beta-myrcene is anti-inflammatory, is also solving for pain relief. Linalool, found in lavender and other plants, right? An anticonvulsant, a sedative. And I'm listing the specific ones here because we'll start talking again around commercialization and what these could mean in conversations for use case. Beta-caryophyllene, a cell protectant. Pretty interesting. And then the last there, nerolidol, aside from being a sedative and an antifungal, is a penetrant, right? So you find this in tea tree oil and others. This is something that can pass through the skin for rapid uptake, for more increasing bioavailability, whether it's other cannabinoids or other ingredients specifically. So you start thinking around these being naturally occurring and not being created in a petri dish, and it's pretty compelling, right? Again, these come not only from cannabis, but from other plants as well. So kind of a deeper dive. Dr. Schmidt in 2010 said that this is the fifth element of the life force. And you start really thinking about your olfactory system, right? And you go through and you have a smell and you recall something and you're back into that time, right? You have these opportunities in which you understand that terpenes are the largest group of plant chemicals that exist, right? 20,000 that are already fully characterized. And then what is you talk around phytochemical polymorphism, and that's something that's pretty compelling. So what you think about that is a plant, cannabis in this example, on the upper leaves by the flowers and trichomes, there's certain terpenes that are being produced that are pushing away avian, right, aerial attacks or bugs that are looking to kind of predate on the actual plant. And then you travel down to the root base of the fan leaves below, and it's a completely different set of terpenes that are being generated from ants, right, or other terrestrial-based creatures that are going to feed on the plant. So it's called operative, as they call it, right? So these are phytochemically operative. They're being created specific terpenes for certain needs, and our body's doing the same thing. We've had some folks speak today about Dr. Lumir Henus and Dr. Raphael Meshulam's findings around anandamides, right, or what's being created in our own body, and it's incredibly compelling. So we're producing terpenes. We're producing these cannabinoids based upon what we need, right? Our ECS system is saying, hey, I'm tired, or I'm stressed out, or, I need, my hands are sore, and I have an analgesic need, right? And these are being produced inside of our bodies from this isoprene through to monoterpene and then into a more developed molecule, which is just wild. Markets and values. So again, I've been called a crass capitalist before. I'm fortunate enough to be able to share a scientific stage these days and have conversations that have results for efficacy. But if we start thinking about commercialization of terpenes specifically in the adult use conversation, well, what does your product taste like, right? What's aromas do you want to evoke? What sort of experience do you want to have, right? If you come to Oregon, where we have our Center of Excellence and Innovation Center, we can provide you a CBD, zero THC product that can provide you a euphoric experience based on terpenes, right? That conversation is not being had yet, at least openly and commercially, which is really interesting. And then the medicinal use. We have the table listed down with the limonene and beta-caryophyllene and myrcene and humulene, and all of these things have huge ramifications for the largest pharmaceutical drugs on the marketplace today. Right? Biopharmaceutics isn't a maybe, it's a present, and like we just saw from the incredible presentation around good agriculture, generally accepted agricultural practices, this is something that's going to be grown and turned into the largest use case for plant-based drugs. Some of the things that we're doing at Vanguard, we're working with universities. We're currently working with Oregon State University. As Ronnie mentioned, fortunate to be working with Israeli botanicals and studying terpenes and their effects, both for commercial properties and research properties for efficacy. And then working on white paper creation. Again, we're systems integrators. We work with clients and help them build facilities to stand up world-class EU GMP compliant processing capabilities. But as we begin to get the chance to move into the science of what product differentiation means, we get to have a chance to look at terpenes. Right? We get to have a chance to look at, as they say, the space between the bars that makes the music. We start to understand that the total is equal to more than the sum of its parts, or that the plant minors that aren't THC and that aren't CBD or CBG or CBN may actually be some of the most important pieces that make up the entire phytocannabinoid conversation. I look forward to talking to you all again throughout the rest of this week. I look forward to meeting each of you individually. Thank you so much for making time to listen about terpenes. I'm fortunate to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. That's awesome.